Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the Journey of My Mother's Son podcast. This is Dan Clouser, and today I'm joined with my beautiful wife as guest host again, which she absolutely loves. Hi, honey. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, it's a pleasure as always.
And we're here in the RV. My last episode, I had Barrett Holifield on, and now I have his parents, Brittany and Cody. Guys, thanks for joining me.
Oh, anytime.
Happy to be here.
So again, fellow full-time RVers, we met you guys here at the Y2V project.
Yes.
So before we start talking about that, though, let's kind of talk about your journey that led you into full-time RV. So the first question I always want to ask is, like, whose idea was it?
Definitely 100%, 200% Cody's.
Nice. So what was the inspiration? What made you want to do that?
So our last house, we had a 10-acre farm and lots of animals. I'd say upwards of 70 animals.
Wow.
Maybe 50-something chickens counted in there. But we noticed that life was becoming to be extremely expensive. The amount of work we were putting in, and then with my job being gone a month, home a month, Brittany teaching, taking care of the kids, the farm, the whole 9 yards, and just the overall expense and not being able to, let's say, enjoy life and do the vacations that we wanted to do.
Right.
We said it's time to make a change. So the change was either to downsize in a house or just take a completely different direction.
And his initial plan was to buy a catamaran and sail, and I said no. So we compromised and got an RV.
Yeah, that's the short version.
story.
It's kind of similar to Phil and Char a little bit, you know.
There's a lot of people we talk to, they're like, they either did the boat first or they're going to do the boat later. And our compromise is we will do the boat when the kids are grown.
Really?
I feel safer on land with the kids.
Yeah. I don't know that I could do a boat. I don't know.
I will do the Great Loop. I'm not too excited about like the Atlantic crossings and anything like that, but maybe the Great Loop. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, with at the time, Corbin was 3-ish, going on 4, and trying to decide to do this, he's too small to be on the boat, and you have to keep an eye on him 24/7, which includes Mom having to do that while Dad was trying to sail or whatever the case may be.
Or the fact that he does leave 6 months out the year and I'm on a boat. I know nothing about boats with these kids. And I'm like, this is not going to work.
So she goes, all right, well.
Land.
Yeah.
Yes, land, please.
Yep. So she says, oh, I'll give you a week trial. I said, okay. So we chartered a catamaran out of Pensacola, Florida. We go, we were supposed to leave, I think, on like a Saturday or a Sunday from the dock. They let us come in the night before to stay on the catamaran. Well, we get there, and an hour into us being there, it's almost dark. The AC goes out on our side of the catamaran and our hull, and we're talking 85, 88 degrees. It's July of, so
No,
it's hot as can be.
Yeah.
So
Pensacola is not a dry heat.
No. So Brittany's like, I feel a migraine coming, and she's had issues with migraines for a long time. So naturally, the heat kicked it in. So the next morning, they get the AC fixed. We leave the dock. A couple days later, we're out swimming at a island and everything. Barrett jumps in the water, catches a jellyfish in his armpit, wraps across his back. He is just
hysterical.
Yeah, it was horrible. So 2 days later, or a couple days later, it was July 4th. We're pulling in the Pensacola beach down there in to go anchor out. Corbin's life jacket catches the table as he's crawling down to get into the front porch of the catamaran. His feet go airborne. He falls backwards, hit the back of his head on the bulkhead, splits his head open, blood everywhere. So it looks like we just got done fishing, So
it was a disaster.
So that happens, and I'm like, all right, give me 2 more days so we can try to enjoy it. So, so we made it to my birthday. The last 2 days went great. Her headache finally went away after 4 days of being down and out. So we did get to enjoy the end of it, but she's like, yeah, there's
It's not
no
an everyday
way.
thing, not happening.
She's like, no, it's just not possible.
Didn't you feel that was a sign at that point?
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
I 100% knew it was a
I
sign.
mean, even to extend it 2 more days.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
So that idea went away.
Yep.
Gone.
So Christmas rolls around, and this was the last Christmas we were in a house, and we decided let's go to Branson, Missouri, see the lights and all of that.
Ride the Polar Express.
Yeah, and we took the kids to do the Polar Express, and on the way home, she goes, you know, there's a lot of land I want to see, so let's travel in an RV.
That was literally all it took. Like, house was sold
Yep.
3 months later, RV was bought, truck was
Yep.
bought, and we were done.
I went
So-
back to work about a week after.
Yeah.
I got home. I traded the Jeep in the day after I got home, bought a dually. We went straight to Tampa, Florida for the Tampa RV show the next weekend. Just so happened they cut us an amazing deal on a brand new Fusion, painted the whole 9 yards. I mean,
Wow.
we decked it out. And
But big factors
Yeah,
were just
we picked it
with
up and
his
started.
job. He was realizing that he wasn't spending as much time with the kids.
Yeah.
I was teaching, and they both had like Corbin had just started school. So when
Right.
he was home for his month, he wasn't seeing any of us
yeah, and
for
that
the
was
weekend.
the
And
other
he's
side
like,
of
I
it.
want to see y'all.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to make some changes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So on top of, just life being too much at the time and not, once Corbin started school, because I spent every day with him for 28
Yeah.
days on my month home, he was my little sidekick, riding a tractor, everything, chasing the chickens around. And then he starts school, and it was like, oh, I'm missing everything.
Right.
That hour at the end of the day, and, baseball on the weekends and all of that, and hanging
a
out with
bunch of time
friends.
away.
Next thing you
Yeah.
know, I've seen them, 10 hours in a week, if that.
Right. And then gone for 28 days.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
you come back and he's grown a foot.
Exactly.
Right, every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Who's this
Where
guy?
did that
What-
little kid
Where'd the
go?
little guy go? Who's this guy?
Uh-huh.
So Cody, tell me a little bit. So you're still working.
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about your job. And we've said about 28 days, 28. 28 on, 28 off. But I don't think my listeners have any idea what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Okay,
So-
yeah, that's true. So, I've been in the towboat industry for going, let's see, I think it was 14 years this year, huh?
I think so.
I believe it's 14 years this year.
Wow.
So I basically started out as a deckhand. I've worked my way up, and I'm a captain on a boat now. A little bit about towboats. People kind of get them confused with tugboats.
Not a tugboat.
So to give you an idea, tugboats are actually called tractor tugs, and they're the ones that dock ships. So that's the ones that you see that come in and push the ships to the docks.
Mhm.
A towboat is what you'll see on the Mississippi River or Cumberland, Illinois, Ohio. They're the ones that push barges,
Right. Okay.
and that's your definition of a towboat. So I currently work for a company that has the biggest boats they have are 6,000 horsepower, and I'm the captain on one of the bigger boats that we have.
Nice.
So I've put my time in to work my way up, and happy to be at that position now.
Good.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
that's awesome. So when you're out on the boat for 28 days, Brittany, what are you doing?
I am stuck at a campground because I don't drive the camper. So I book my monthly sites about a year in advance, all throughout the year.
Barrett told me that, and I
Yeah.
thought that was crazy.
Well, because sometimes the monthly sites fall over holidays or summer, and it's high traffic in certain areas.
Yep.
So I have all my monthly sites booked for this year. We kind of map out the area we want to be in, and I map out everywhere we want to go in between and space it out so I know where I want to do my monthly sites. And we explored the area for a month.
So long story short, she's a planner.
I think
Yeah.
Barrett
Like,
said the exact same thing.
Obsessively.
You have to
Yeah.
have.
You have to with this lifestyle,
Yeah.
because if I missed one and it's over like Labor Day weekend, and
Oh, yeah.
even if I can't get that weekend, I can't get the whole month.
Right. It
Yeah.
shoots everything in the
It
foot.
does.
Yeah.
So it's easier for us because of my work that we book just the monthly sites.
Yes.
We decide kind of which direction we want to take. We'll book the monthly sites, and then we kind of fill everything in from there. So one monthly site may be 3 states away from the next monthly site, and we just kind of gradually work our way there. So
Once
that's
you're off the
yeah,
boat.
exactly.
So we're not like those easygoing, carefree RVers. Just
Yeah.
go with the wind. No, not with his work schedule.
Now, do you go out of the same port every time?
No, so I pretty much chase the boat. Wherever
Okay.
it's at is where I get on. So when my relief is due off on his 28 days, he could be in Cairo, Illinois. He could be in New Orleans. It just as far up as almost Chicago.
I just drop him off at
Yeah.
Teniers Airport and he gets to where
Oh,
he's
that's
going.
Right.
Yeah,
And the
so
company pays for that.
so I
So
either
that's
fly
not,
or I
that
take
has
a
no
route.
effect on where you guys are
Nope.
staying.
No,
'cause
but
you
it
don't
is
know
funny
where
when he
you're
has to
going out.
call the office and be like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to fly me to Maine," and they're like, "What?"
So
Yeah.
they pay for it no matter where
Yes.
you're at.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
That's cool.
nice.
Yep. Yeah, so
Yeah.
any crew changes, they take care of the rental cars, they take care of the flights. You know, I
And
guess
that's no
Amazing.
different if you're living in an RV or living at home. At that
Exactly.
point,
Right.
So
Exactly.
you were flying all over
He was.
wherever
Yep.
you were getting on
Flying
the
or
boat at that
driving.
point.
Yeah, because most, I'd say, as a pilot on the boats, I worked for 5 years on the Illinois River, and I never came south of St. Louis. So if I got on the boat, I either flew to St. Louis or Chicago, and I did that for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then I flew home. You know, so I mean, some of my crew changes now are cheaper than what they were back then. You know what I mean? So
Depending on where we are, yeah.
yeah. But I can tell you, it's a long flight from Utah to New Orleans to get on the boat.
Sure.
I
So
bet. I bet.
Mhm.
So you had the boat idea, took
Mm-hmm.
a road trip. You kind of got the RV idea.
Yes.
What was the inspiration really then for an RV? I mean, with that trip.
He wore me down. About a year's worth of YouTube videos being sent and sent and sent. I just remember there was this one. I think it was actually a boat family. Is it If Not Now Then When? Or it was a boat family, and it was the mom and dad talking because they did have kids, and they sat down and had this kind of like heart to heart to their followers about how you just gotta, just do it and live your life, and you only have one life, and only one life with these kids, and you only have so many summers with these kids, and you gotta just enjoy the moments, and you don't have to live this traditional life, and you need to just enjoy it.
And KYD also put out a video like that as well. So I bombarded her.
But
with
he
those
really
videos.
did wear me down.
Yeah.
Oh, so much.
She's not a spontaneous person,
He
and
is.
I could be like, "Hey, it's 9:00. Let's go to dinner. You want to invite 3 or 4 friends?" And she's
So
like,
it drives me insane.
"Really?"
Insane.
So, yeah.
But I guess it did take him a year to convince me, and in that year I did lots of research. I made my list of my pros and my cons, and
Yeah.
I guess made my list and my research until I felt like the pros outweighed the cons.
Yeah.
So.
And for some reason, they all did. Even the first list, the pros outweighed the cons, and she still wasn't convinced. You know?
So how about now?
Oh, I don't know why we didn't do it sooner.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. We've looked back, and 3 houses ago, we should have been like, "Hey,
Right.
that would have been amazing to do." But hindsight's 2020, and you got to go with the
We're
flow.
grateful that we can do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing too. Brittany was a teacher prior to this, and she gave up her teaching career, which we also lost that salary. But in the same time, getting rid of all of the bills and the farm and all of that, we were basically right back down to even with
Right.
my salary. So it's really, I mean, it hit the nail on the head, and we haven't had any issues, and it's been wonderful.
And we can't help but look back and be like, oh my gosh, we are so blessed and so grateful because we took this leap the year before COVID.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have to teach through COVID. The kids didn't have to experience that
Yep.
of all that was going on in the school system. So it's like, God, what a blessing it was that we made the decision when we
She
did.
started homeschooling before homeschooling was
It's
super cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And they have a lot of hands-on right
Oh, yeah.
now, which is a
Oh,
yes.
very good thing
Yes.
for kids nowadays.
And that's one thing we love about being on the road too is, there's so much in this country where you can go and learn things, and it costs you very little or
Yeah.
nothing at all. I mean, like the other day we found something, and now this is not something Barrett would be into, but I found a class in Texas, and it's a welding course, and it's a 1-week course, and for homeschool kids, I believe they do it. Is it free or is it? It's very little money if it's any at all, and you get a certificate at the end of it. And I'm
So
like,
cool.
That
even
is
if he
neat.
doesn't become a welder, it's no big deal.
It's experience.
It's a trade to learn,
Yeah.
and you can say, "Hey, I've
I've
done
tried
that
that,
before."
yeah.
Yeah.
But
You know?
I've known from our one daughter, she used to homeschool too, and they got into the high school age, and she just said she's done with homeschooling.
Right.
But they could actually go get things free too,
Yes.
because it was learning for them.
Exactly.
Were there any concerns about socialization for the kids? Not being around their classmates?
Yeah, that was one of my biggest hurdles of trying to overcome and trying to see past. It is still an issue because you have to remember we did this during COVID, so that threw a whole lump in there of not being able to even go and do certain things or be around certain people. But even so, we are kind of like 50-50, like 50 boondocking and 50 campgrounds. And so what we have learned is we book specific campgrounds like Yogi Bears or KOAs periodically, so that the kids, we know that those kind of campgrounds there will be kids,
right.
And so we try to lay it out to where it's fair for them. So we like to boondock, but we know they might not necessarily, so we organize it in a way to where it makes us all happy.
Yeah, we try to flip-flop from time to time.
Yeah.
Now, if you notice, there's a lot of families that are in the
Thousand
Trails program. Now,
through full-time families.
Yeah, and I've talked to them, and it just will not work with my work schedule.
Right.
It's just not something we can do. So that kind of cuts us out from meeting a lot of families. And we've met a few here and there, and, you know...
But we can't say that everywhere we go, there's families all over, and they're meeting all these kids, because that's not necessarily true. But they do see kids because we plan it that way.
Yeah.
And there's been some campgrounds where they have weekend deals, or, you know, it's... A lot of people come in and stay every weekend, and they just leave their camper there.
Yeah, so that's a trick that I learned last year. Is up kind of in the northern areas. They're seasonal campgrounds.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, I want all my monthly sites to be at those seasonal because those are family oriented. There's always something going on. The people are always so welcoming. So I like those campgrounds. Yeah.
And it works out really well because you got her monthly sites. We try to make sure it's a decent sized campground that has all of the amenities and stuff, because most of those are going to have camp hosts, and your camp hosts are usually older people that are like your grandma and grandpa.
We always have a resident grandparent with us.
And you know, when I leave for the month, they're always like, "Oh, we'll keep an eye on you. You don't have to worry about nothing." You know, so that makes me feel a little better because they have somebody to fall back on if they need anything.
Because the camping community is so amazing.
Yeah,
the most friendly people.
Yeah, they really are. And unfortunately, we did start in COVID. We bought this RV the day Pennsylvania was issuing the shutdown orders.
Oh, okay.
And then we rolled out in August.
Get away as fast as you can.
And so the first part of our journey, that was stripped a little bit because people were still a little standoffish.
They kind of stayed to themselves. They're like, okay, I respect that.
Right.
But now, I mean, you're right. The camping community is a special community.
It is.
It really is. And you know, unless you experience it, it's hard to put it into words what it's like.
Right.
So that I can see where that can definitely be a benefit to you know, the socialization of the kids.
Because it was nerve-wracking at first. I'm like, you're gonna leave me in strange states by myself, like super weird. But it's been amazing.
Yeah.
Well, the funny part about the whole COVID deal was we were out west when it first got started, and it was really crazy because it was like everything there took a year to catch up. Because I mean, you're so far apart out west. Nobody was worried about that. You know what I mean? You're out hiking and there's not another person for 100 miles.
Well, we also weren't staying in campgrounds, so we didn't know anything. We're out boondocking, minding our business, hiking, and we're like, what's going on?
We get back to civilization, and you know, and then that was about the time that the presidential election was going on, and then we saw all the chaos and everything, and we were like, hey, let's go back to home base for a couple weeks. So we jumped back for that for a little while, and then this past year we did the
East Coast.
The East Coast.
Yep.
So overall, we've been 3 years, 32 states, and somewhere around 30,000 miles, give or take a couple.
Yeah.
So
cool. And now you just changed rigs.
Yes.
So that's been a big step.
Like a month and a half. So like, just changed rigs.
Yep.
So,
that is true.
So what was why go from the fifth wheel to a motorhome? What was that's
a big question.
There's a couple of factors, but I guess the number one thing is for listeners to know is that there's no perfect rig. There's not one that's going to meet all your needs. So the fifth wheel didn't meet necessarily all of our needs, and we were ready to kind of change it up. So a couple of the factors were, with all of the stuff kind of going on with COVID and the uncertainty of things, we want it to be debt free, just in case jobs got lost or money got reduced or whatever the case may be. fifth wheel was brand new. The truck was relatively new, so we owed a lot. But selling that and going super used, we went debt free. So that was a major factor. The size of the fifth wheel made us have to go into sites that were like extremely large. And
so that's something that people don't, I guess the campground side of people don't understand versus, or maybe they understand and us RVers don't understand. I'm not sure which side it rolls to yet, but you got to understand that when you have a 44-foot fifth wheel and then you have the truck hooked to it, you're 60 feet long, and 60 feet is like 8 feet shy of an 18-wheeler with a 53-foot trailer, so you're not very mobility wise inside of a campground, I mean, it's just it gets tight fast. Well, you look at these sites online to book them, and she's like, hey, will we fit in a 55-foot site? And I'm like, well, what do they consider 55 feet?
Does it fit the truck? Is it just the camper?
Can I overhang the rear end of the camper over the edge of the site a little bit? Is there a bumper there?
It can be very confusing.
And then we learned very quickly we do not fit in state parks. There's not no national parks. There was a handful of state parks where it was questionable. One of them, it said it was a 45-foot site or 46-foot site.
We think that means with the truck.
Yeah, I backed in and the trailer hung out in the road 8 feet. I was like, this ain't gonna work. So we slid the picnic table over and catty-cornered it.
So the fifth wheel was huge. The dually was huge. It was limiting. Like, I couldn't take my kids through the drive-thru at Chick-fil-A because I was scared of taking the dually. It was so big. And then travel day with trying to homeschool in the truck, trying to turn around and teach the kids, and I was like, this is not working. So. And then
we went to not Baxter. Was it Baxter State Park? The one where Mount Cadigan is?
Katahdin. Mount Katahdin.
Anyway, where the Appalachian Trail ends in Maine, the state park there, they wouldn't let us pass the gate with the dually. And we were like, okay, this is the second time we've run into this, and we like to go way out in the woods. I mean, obviously you can see we're hikers, and we like to do that kind of thing. And, that was another thing I said, hey, a Gladiator to pull behind that motorhome would be awesome, rooftop tent, whole 9 yards. But
so the Jeep does give us the freedom. So motorhome helps us a little bit, but the Jeep, if we put the rooftop system up, we can even go off further and camp out other places.
But just so you know, we did not go with a Gladiator. We went with a Jeep Wrangler Unlimited.
Again, because of the debt issue.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
That was about a $30,000 difference. So,
I think Barrett's answer on that was bathroom and being able to make a sandwich. While you're driving.
He loves that. He definitely loves that.
I don't like getting up in this when he's driving, but I do at times have to use the bathroom. I say, can you tell me when you're like, if
maybe you're gonna hit a bump or something?
Just give me a warning, because when I go to stand up in there and I'm ready to fly and have my head in the shower, and I do have to remember when the door doesn't shut really good when he's driving. So there are
it'll
times
swing open, huh?
Yes, and there are times I have the shade up on the top. I'm going, oh crap! If there's a tractor trailer going through, he's gonna see me.
18-wheeler gonna
wave.
That is one thing that I had to give up, though. We had 2 bathrooms, and now I have to share a bathroom with all these boys now, which is not my favorite thing.
And we did have that dually set up because I had the Avaya air system on board. I had a 100-gallon fuel tank toolbox in the back, and they all knew Daddy doesn't stop until it's time to fill the truck back up.
That's right. And we've got friends that are like, we stop every hour. I'm like, we stop when we get gas. Like, you don't pee in between.
I don't.
We're like pretty hardcore travelers.
I put a hand pump on it, and I said, all right, it's going to take me 5 minutes to pump this fuel into the truck. Y'all all go to the bathroom, make your sandwiches, whatever, because we're getting back on the road. So
our kids know.
So that's how we did things.
That's funny. So, like I said, we're here at another Year to Volunteer project, and it's our kind of fourth. Two whole ones and a couple of fractions of ones in between there. Tell me a little bit why you guys feel it's important to come out here. I mean, you're on 28 days of not working, and you're spending 10 days here busting your hump.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, he loves a good project, so that doesn't bother him. Yeah. But we're all about doing what it takes to raise good kids and to have a good influence on our kids. So this is a great experience for them to see all different kinds of people, all different ages, giving back and helping out, and that should be something that everybody does in their life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing that I like best about coming to these projects is not only that it's something new that the kids can learn, because there's always something different to do at these projects, anything, but the variation of people, or variety of people, I guess you could say,
the community,
from different backgrounds. We've got people from every walks of life here that has done numerous different things in their life.
The people you meet, the skills you learn, it's
exactly
awesome.
So you can, like Barrett, for instance, he has no idea what he wants to become when he gets older. He picks something, and then 5 minutes later it's different, And same thing with Corbin. Corbin changes his mind every half a second. So, it's
allowed to hasten.
Exactly, yeah. But he can go and talk to somebody that has retired from 30 years or 20 years, or put 20 years in this industry and 20 years in this industry, and say, hey, what did you do to enjoy it? Why did you not like it? Why did you change? What would you have done different? And they can ask these people these kind of things, and they'll gladly sit down and explain it to them, or say, hey, if you decide to do this industry, don't do this.
It opens some windows.
So and it makes a difference. And then you can see work ethics from different people, and that's something that we've tried to instill in our kids is, you have to have a good work ethic.
In today's day and age, it's very important for kids to know you have to work. It's not just given to you.
Yeah. And that's my big thing with coming to these type of projects, and then we've become really good friends with Phil and Shar since we started all of this, and it's just.
And personally, going from someone who did work to a stay-at-home mom, this does give me a sense of purpose and a job, and it's not just I'm sitting at home with my kids all the time. It's a big change for me from having a lot to do to literally nothing to do. So personally, it's good for me to have a job and to feel like I'm helping and contributing. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How'd you guys find out about it?
YouTube. No?
No, actually, I found Phil and Char on Instagram, and not through anybody else. I just happened to be scrolling through Instagram one day, and I think they had like 250 followers at the time, and I found it, and it was actually a week before Phil and Stacy from You, Me, and the RV went and did the project with them. So I had followed them on there, and I told Brittany about it. And then,
in the very early stages. This is the very beginning.
And then a week later, Phil and Stacy put up the video, and everything was everybody's like, oh, So, and that's what Phil used to tell everybody. They found us before, So, but it was actually on Instagram is where I found them.
Oh.
So it was pretty neat.
Did you guys do a lot of volunteering before traveling?
Did we?
No, we did a lot of helping friends out on, their property and houses and little things like that, but not necessarily so-called volunteer
I guess I did growing
work.
Up, but then once I had kids, it was like,
I
don't have time for anything else.
Well, I did Boy Scouts when I was younger, so I managed to make it up to Eagle Scouts, so I did some volunteering through that, but nothing. I wouldn't jump out and say anything volunteering. I did the storm cleanup after Katrina in New Orleans, so but they paid me for that.
Gotcha.
That wasn't necessarily voluntarily.
But you were helping.
Yeah.
You were helping.
We did volunteer a lot for different stuff and do work for free, but
But I noticed right away. It impacted me that you guys had the kids here, and again, they weren't just here. Kicking around over in the dirt. Day one they were out there picking up sticks
but they help.
Yes.
In between Corbin, in between picking up sticks, would throw a handful of dirt here and there. But I can speak from experience. My mom dragged me to anything she volunteered with when I was a kid, and so as I became an adult, it was just natural for me to volunteer. So, and volunteerism is something that is truly dying. So I think the fact that you guys are instilling that in these guys when they're young, they're going to be helpers when they grow up. They're just going to, it's not going to seem odd when they're 25, 30 years old to, go to a soup kitchen or the animal shelter or whatever it is to help out with. And I think that's, things that we definitely need more of in the world for sure. It's kind of a lost art. So, how many projects have you guys done now?
This is our second one.
Your second, okay.
Yeah.
And the first one was in Buck's Pocket.
Correct.
How long ago was that?
It's been a couple
2
years.
years?
Yeah. Something like that.
About 2 years.
But stayed in touch with Phil and Char.
Oh, yeah. I feel like we've been on so many more projects because we've hung out with them, but it hasn't been a project.
We actually traveled South Dakota with them for about 3.5 weeks. So we traveled together through their caravan, and it was fun. We did a lot of different stuff. We actually took them on some long hikes they wouldn't have went on otherwise. But yeah, there's actually some pictures of Phil with his little pouch and domino in it on his chest hiking.
Nice.
Nice. They went to the highest point in South Dakota with us.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that is the intangible of what we're doing here. Is truly the lifelong friendships that you develop.
We've met up with so many people from the first project while on our travels, and we're going to continue to do that with people that we meet at these projects. Absolutely.
I think we've met up with 3 or 4 people for dinner, or 3 or 4 couples for dinner, or something like that along
the first
crossing paths.
And with us, when we after our volunteer project in Arizona, we stuck around Arizona for another 3 weeks.
We were there a total of a month.
And they were still there for a little bit, so we got a chance to have lunch with them in Arizona, and then we spent a couple days with them in strawberry fields in Florida, and then a couple days at the Tampa RV show. And again, those times are as valuable to us as getting together here. So it's really cool. So you guys have a YouTube channel and a blog and all that fun stuff as well. Whose idea was it to do that, and why do you think it's important to kind of document your travels?
I think collectively we decided to start like Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube in terms of just documenting for the kids. Corbin was starting out very young. We're like, he's not going to remember everything. And so we wanted to document for them to go back and have all these memories to look back on, in addition to our friends and family back home to know where we are and what we did, and they can follow our journey with us. So it was...
And conveniently, the kids don't watch any of the videos.
Not yet.
Maybe one day they'll start watching them when they want to look back. But yeah, so we started the YouTube. I've kind of taken that over in the last year or so because Brittany was doing it on her phone. So we're kind of pursuing it now. I'd say in the last 6 months or so, we've tried to get a little better at video making.
Right.
But maybe make something out of it. I don't know, but we like to have the stickers and different things like that. And our stickers glow in the dark now.
He's super proud of this.
They're awesome.
One thing we don't have anything like. We have to. I think
you got to come up with the logo first.
I have to at least get a T-shirt for your thing.
And it's Hitch to Hitch.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And
Hitch to Hitch. Yeah, and it's spelled out T-O.
Right.
She says that all the time. Yeah.
That's what your shirt is.
Yeah,
so this was our original logo, which has a fifth wheel and a towboat with the H, and the fifth wheel and towboat make the center of the H.
And it was the idea that when he goes out for his hitch. That's what they call it. And then he would come home and hitch up the camper. So he's going from hitch to hitch.
Okay.
Well, I was going to actually ask where that came from, because I was trying to figure it out, especially when I didn't realize you were in a fifth wheel to start. I'm like, you're in a Class A.
Well, we're hitching the
hitch
Jeep up. Come on. It still works.
So I'm sitting here trying to process it, but it makes a lot more sense now.
And we've changed our logo a little bit now.
Yeah. So that's awesome, and I agree. I think it's important to document that. I know my mom did this back in the 80s, and we just got to read through her journals after she passed away.
Wow.
So there was no Facebook or Instagram when she was doing it, and that's when when we started talking about it, I was like, really be cool to kind of document this. And, obviously I'm doing it more through podcasting and telling stories that people we meet, but also just my posts on Facebook are really an opportunity to kind of share what we're doing and that sort of thing. So with the two projects, that you guys have helped with through the year to volunteer here. Gonna have some background noise because we're in a camper in a rainstorm right now for my listeners.
And thunder.
But we weren't in Buck's Pocket, obviously, but this project has been, to me, incredibly special. Just seeing how it's impacted the community, and I mean, they've fed us. And what is that? Every night when these people come here and thank us and talk to us, and what does it do for you guys as far as
I think it's a good reminder to be grateful for what you do have, because there's always somebody who has it worse than you do, and that it is part of our job to help those people who don't have it as well off.
And then, we're from the New Orleans area, North Shore of Lake Pontchartrain and all of that, so we've been hit by these hurricanes before. We've had to completely rebuild. I mean, I lost everything twice from storms. She's been displaced for a little while from Hurricane Katrina as well, and, granted that was before we met and all of that, but we've seen what it does to the community. We've seen how the devastation takes things out, and, this was a project that we definitely wanted to do because it kind of impacts.
Hits home.
We know the feeling, and coming here and helping these people out and trying to bring back a park that everybody, and some people up north, out west, and all of that, they don't understand how it is down here for the locals. Now, being down in Louisiana and Cajun country and all of that, whatever you want to call it, when they find something they like, that's what it is. And I mean, it's every weekend. They do crawfish bowls every weekend, every other weekend. Yeah, and it is a fixation for these people that and us, we're same way. But
we witnessed the crawfish.
Right, we are a little obsessed.
So we saw that firsthand. These two can put away some crawfish.
And I'm glad we got to sit next to you just for the whole learning thing and watch you. I'm like,
oh yeah.
I didn't learn anything
except to how grossed out you were.
But Sandy learned a lot.
And to stay away.
Yeah, but the amount of people that used to come to this park and get to enjoy it, and now nobody can. It's awesome to be able to come and bring that back to life. Even though it's still devastating and it's going to look like this for a long period of time. There's still parts of Louisiana that's still recovering from Katrina, and we're talking 20 years.
We're old, I don't know.
It's like almost 20 years ago at this point. It's like 18 years, I believe, 16 years, something like that. So, it's going to impact for a long time. Like, they lost 80-90% of their trees. They just planted new ones. You're looking at 20 years before this place, looks like it did before.
Right, and even then, it's not
exactly.
I mean, they didn't plant 10,000 trees.
Right,
exactly.
Right.
So, and coming to do this has just made an impact on the local community, and that's just what we were really looking to do when we heard that they were coming here.
Yeah, it's been special for us for sure. So we've got friends over in Sulphur, and we were down here actually in between the two hurricanes in 2020. So as soon as we saw that, Phil and Shar announced this, we were like, we gotta be here and be a part of it. And our friend that came in that you met today, which by the way, she said, what's it called again? The
etouffee?
The etouffee. It was delicious, by the way. She was big thumbs up.
Awesome.
So,
and she did question, she goes, so what do the kids do?
and I'm like, they're out there working, man.
She's like, are they in the RV? I said, no, they're out. They're learning.
We put them to work.
That's right. Learn how to use some power tools.
And I met her down at the gate and drove in, and as she's driving in, I mean, she is bawling because kind of twofold. I mean, again, the park is not what it used to look like. But then also tears of joy that, here's these almost 50 people from 13 different states here who have no investment in this community here to lend a hand. So it's kind of like, twofold tears, she was saying. So
she would come in here to train too.
Yeah, I mean, she swam in that river out there, which is crazy.
Oh, no, thank you.
Yeah, during a triathlon.
She's brave.
I think I'd probably want to eat a crawfish before swimming in that river.
Oh, it's just murky water. It ain't nothing. Well, actually, my relief that's on the boat for me right now, the other captain, He lives 5 minutes from this park. He lives here in Moss Bluff. Yeah. Wow. So, you know, I mean, this helps them out too.
And I have camped here with Barrett when he was 2, so I have been here and enjoyed it.
Actually, if you watch our video that we released for the first week of this, I put in some photos of her feeding the deer and raccoons from when
12
she
years
was here
ago.
12 years ago.
Wow.
Hand feeding them.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Make sure he closes the windows.
So we're just about out of time, and you guys are going to get wet.
Yep.
But anything that we didn't cover that you guys want to talk about before I get to my final question?
Oh, no, I think we've covered everything about our lifestyle and why we made the decision and how it's going. So,
Cool. All right, so as I told you, the subtitle of the podcast is Many Little People in Many Little Places, which comes from the opening lyrics of a Michael Franti song, which go, when many little people in many little places do many little things and the whole world changes. So start with you first, Brittany.
Okay.
What's one of the little things you do on a daily basis to make the world a little bit better place?
So I know one of my big jobs is to be a mom and to raise kids who do good and are good people, and so I guess every day I'm reminding them of the right thing to do and doing things like giving back or opening the door for someone or just little things like that so I can raise good gentlemen, Southern gentlemen.
Cody?
I get out of bed. No. I mean that's a tough question because there's so many little things that can impact, you know. And I can't really say there's something every single day that I do, but
this is an easy one. Cody would give anything to anybody who needs anything anywhere.
Yeah.
So this is a really simple answer for him. He is always there to help literally anyone.
That was what I was going to say was I literally, not only my own projects, but anybody that's doing anything, if they need help with anything,
he's actively looking for people to help. So he has something to do.
I actually see that in you here.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is.
My pet peeve is somebody standing there watching somebody else work, and I can't do that. That's why I never went to work for the government. But you know, that I try to lend a helping hand to anybody that needs it, or if they have a project that they're pushing off or whatever. Hey, I got you. Let's go. Yeah. You know, and I guess that would be my way of trying to make every day better for somebody.
Yeah, that's cool. I love that. I love those answers. I'll let you off the hook this time because you've answered it a couple times. But no, guys, I really appreciate you taking the time. Again, I admire you for what you're doing. I think the life lessons you guys are teaching your kids by having them out here is better than they could ever learn in any classroom or homeschool setting or road school setting. So I definitely admire you guys for that, and I appreciate you taking the time. And just one last time, let people know where they can find you at as far as the blog and Facebook and Instagram, all that stuff.
We're on, it's Hitch to Hitch. It's HITCHTO HITCH. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We just started a TikTok, but I don't know if that's going to last or not. Don't worry, we're not dancing or singing. But yeah, give us a like, a follow, share, whatever. You know, message us, let us know that you heard from, you know, the podcast and all of that.
If you have questions about the lifestyle because you're thinking about it, I had all the same questions and concerns, so you definitely message and ask.
We do have future videos coming out that's going to explain finances that we've, you know, spent for the year. I wouldn't say we're necessarily frugal people. We try to be from time to time, but, you know, I mean, with me still bringing in an income, we don't really pinch our pennies. Right. So you can see what the lifestyle's like that with 2 kids that for some reason don't have stomachs. It just kind of goes right through them. They eat like what is it, Stinky in them from Casper, from the movie Casper, where they just shovel it in and it just hits the floor. Yeah. So, you know, our grocery bill's high, but overall, if you want to just follow us on those, that's our main platforms. Or we also have an email. It's the same thing, hitch2hitch@gmail. Brittany runs the blog.
Yep.
It needs to be updated.
Yep. Again, I've got 2 kids.
So,
and is there a URL for the blog? Is it?
Yeah, I think it's hitch2hitch.home. It's easy just to find it through Instagram.
Okay.
You just find the website there.
Okay.
But yeah, if you have any questions for us, feel free to message us, or if you just want to say hello, we don't bite. Not hard anyway.
Unless you're a crawfish.
Yeah, there you go.
So, all right, guys, I really do appreciate it. And folks out there listening, be sure to check out my blogs and other podcasts at danclouser.com. Cody, Brittany, thanks again, and hopefully we see you guys down the road.
Thanks for having us.